ever get the feeling that, like, there's always something more going on beneath the surface? You know, like some hidden motive behind stuff we see every day.
Yeah.
So today, we're really going to go deep on that idea.
Okay.
And we're using this pretty dense text as, like, our guide.
All right.
It's excerpts from a lecture on Kenneth Burke's
Oh, wow.
A Rhetoric of Motives.
Oh, Rhetoric of Motives, yeah.
So it's a good one.
It's a doozy, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a fascinating look at how symbols and motives are, like, intertwined, even in areas where we think, like, logic or economics is at play.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
why do we keep getting, like,
Yeah.
all these Spider-Man movies?
Yeah.
Is it just
Right.
like Hollywood being Hollywood?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there something deeper going on?
Yeah,
Right, so
for sure.
that's kind of what this deep dive is all about. It's about unpacking Burke's idea
Okay.
that symbolic motives are always kind of like at play,
Yeah.
even when we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the lecture actually kicks off with this phrase,
Okay.
idols of the cave. It's borrowed from Francis Bacon.
Oh, interesting.
And basically
Okay.
it's basically saying that we all have these, like, mental filters built from our experiences.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we're looking at the world through a cave entrance
Oh, I see.
that, like,
Yeah.
shapes how we see things, including our motivations.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So someone who grew up with, like, Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man
Right.
might see the character
Yeah.
totally differently
Yeah.
than someone who first saw him in the MCU.
Exactly. Those early experiences kind of become part of our, like, cave and influence how we interpret both symbols and motives.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And Burke takes it even further, actually. He argues that even things that we consider to be hard facts can also be tied to, like, symbolic systems.
Okay. I think I need an example.
Okay, sure.
So he uses Thorstein Veblen's theory of the leisure class. Okay. And Veblen claims that they're driven by a predatory instinct, like some leftover urge from, like, our hunter-gatherer days.
Interesting.
But Burke suggests it's not actually that simple.
Okay, so meaning?
Meaning that this, like, instinct is actually tied to a symbolic system of status and power.
Okay.
It's not about some primal urge to hunt, but about how the leisure class sees themselves within a hierarchy.
I see.
Right. A system that is built on symbols of wealth and achievement.
So it's like they're playing a game where, like, the symbols of wealth are the points, not the actual money itself.
Exactly. And that leads us to, like, another key idea from the lecture, this concept of overproduction. When it comes to symbols, humans are constantly creating and manipulating them.
Right.
Which leads to, like, layers upon layers of meaning, which explains why we have so many superhero reboots.
Yes.
Like, each generation needs to, like,
exactly
reinterpret these stories.
Yeah.
Find new meaning in the same symbols.
That's a great example. It's not just Hollywood cashing in.
Yeah.
There's, like, a deeper drive to connect with these characters
Right.
in a way that resonates with our current cultural context.
So we're not just watching Spider-Man swing around. We're engaging with this whole web of symbols and meanings built up over time.
We're not just passive viewers.
Right.
We're bringing our own experiences and interpretations to the table, and that's where things get really interesting when we start talking about intent versus context.
Okay, before we get into that, I have a thought.
Okay.
Okay, so if we apply this whole, like, idols of the cave idea to things like the debate about, like, classic literature versus new books, could it be that, like, clinging to the classics is more about holding on to a
That's a fascinating question.
specific symbolic system
Then,
like,
it suggests
the actual quality of the writing?
those defending the classics might be attached to the symbols
And
and the meanings that they represent.
Like,
Symbols that may hold less significance for younger generations with different cave formations, so to speak. But yeah, I think we should delve into this concept of overproduction a little bit more before we move on.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got these idols of the cave, like, shaping our views, and this whole overproduction of symbols thing happening all the time.
Yeah.
Where does this whole intent versus context thing fit into all this?
Well, The lecture kind of gets to this point where Burke is arguing that sometimes the context surrounding a symbol is actually more important than the original intent behind it.
Hold on. So you're saying like the meaning can change based on like where it pops up?
Exactly. It's like understanding a word based on like the sentence it's in, not just the dictionary definition.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think I get it.
Yeah.
But can you like give me a real world example?
Sure. Yeah. So think about like a simple word like fire, right? By itself, it could mean a lot of things. Campfire, destructive blaze, even a passionate feeling.
Yeah.
But if you hear someone yell fire in a crowded theater, the context instantly clarifies the meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about like warmth or pretty flames.
Exactly.
It's about danger. Gotta get out.
Exactly, yeah. The context overrides any other potential meaning, and Burke suggests that this happens with all sorts of symbols, not just words.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Like those old Looney Tunes cartoons?
Oh, yeah.
With Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck?
Yeah, totally.
Rabbit season. Duck season.
Yes. That's a perfect example.
Back and forth, right.
On the surface, it just seems like a silly, meaningless argument.
Right.
But the context adds a whole other layer.
They're not really fighting about hunting seasons.
Right.
It's about not wanting to get blasted by Elmer Fudd.
Exactly. Survival becomes like the shared context that drives their actions.
Right. Even if their words like seem to be clashing.
Exactly. Yeah. It shows how like a shared context can create unity even when individual motives might appear to clash.
So even though Bugs wants it to be rabbit season, Daffy wants it to be duck season, the bigger context of like not wanting to get shot,
exactly,
brings them together in this weird way.
Precisely. And this is crucial to like understanding Burke's point. We're not just interpreting symbols in isolation, we're interpreting them within a web of relationships, power dynamics, cultural norms.
All these contextual factors that shape.
So it's like we're not just looking at the pieces of a puzzle, but we're trying to see how they all fit together in the bigger picture.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
And this leads us to another fascinating point that the lecture touches on.
Sure.
Burke argues that the laws of symbols are, in a way, prior to economic laws.
Whoa, hold on. That sounds deep. What does he mean by that?
He's saying that, like, our symbolic understanding of the world shapes how we interact with it, including how we engage in economic activity. It's not just about supply and demand. It's about the meanings that we attach to goods and services, even money itself.
So, like, a fancy car isn't just about transportation. It's about status.
It's about the status and image it projects.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow. So symbols are literally driving the economy in some ways.
That's wild. Okay, but if we're so influenced by symbols, is there any way to, like, escape their grip?
Right.
Or are we just puppets to these systems of meaning?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's something we'll explore further in the last part of our deep dive. But Burke offers a glimmer of hope. He suggests that by becoming aware of these symbolic systems, understanding how they work, we can gain a certain degree of freedom.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay.
All right, so we've talked about how symbols are, well, everywhere, right? Shaping our views, even like our economic choices, all that.
Yeah.
But if we're like so deeply embedded in these systems of meaning, is there any way to actually break free?
It's not so much about breaking free as it is about like awareness.
Okay.
Burke argues that by understanding how these symbolic systems work, we gain a certain level of agency.
So it's not about ignoring symbols altogether.
No, not at all. That would be impossible.
Right.
Symbols are, woven into the very fabric of how we communicate and understand the world. It's more about developing a critical awareness of them.
So kind of like learning the rules of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you know how the game works, you can start playing it more strategically.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. It's about asking yourself,
okay,
what symbolic systems am I operating within? Whose interests do they serve? And how are they shaping my thoughts and actions?
Okay, so it's like taking the red pill in the Matrix, right? You see the code, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But then what? What do we do with this newfound awareness?
That's where things get really empowering, actually.
Okay.
Once we see the code, so to speak, we can start to make more conscious choices about how we engage with these symbolic systems. We can resist those that are like harmful or oppressive, and we can even create new symbols and meanings that better reflect our values.
So instead of being passively shaped by symbols, we can become like active creators of meaning.
Exactly. We can reclaim our agency and use symbols to shape the world around us. Think about like social movements throughout history. They often involve creating new symbols and reinterpreting old ones to challenge existing power structures and advocate for change.
So like the raised fist becoming a symbol of solidarity.
Exactly.
Or the rainbow flag.
Exactly.
For LGBTQ plus pride, right?
These symbols carry immense power because they tap into shared emotions, values, aspirations. So by understanding the power of symbols, we can become more effective agents of change. In our own lives and in the world around us.
This has been a really insightful deep dive.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, we went from Idols of the Cave to Spider-Man reboots to Looney Tunes.
Yeah, we did.
We even talked about the Matrix, all to illustrate
it's all connected.
How symbols shape our world.
Yeah. And through it all, we've learned that symbols aren't just these like abstract concepts. They're powerful forces that shape our perceptions, our actions, even our understanding of the world.
But as we've discussed, becoming aware of these systems can empower us to navigate them more consciously and even use them to create positive change. So here's a final thought for everyone out there. As you go about your day, what symbols are shaping your world? Are they serving you? Or is it time to start crafting some new ones? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Kenneth Burke's Rhetoric of Motives.